Hello everyone, thank you for tuning into today's Words of Wisdom. Today's is from June 27th, and I quote, "If you could detach from yourself and look closely at yourself, you would realize that something about the self-image is not completely correct. You could be just desiring things you cannot have or magnifying the things you do not have enough of." From The Laws of Hope by Master Ryuho Okawa. Thank you, Lord God. Okay, so I'm going to break this, I'm going to break it into two pieces because there are two sentences. So first, let me focus on the first sentence. If you could detach from yourself and look closely at yourself, you realize that something about the self-image is not completely correct. So I would believe that this would be an act of self-reflection, first and foremost. This is an act of self-reflection. And if I were to categorize it into the Eightfold Path, I believe it would be in right view, the very first one of the Eightfold Path. Are you viewing things correctly? In this case, are you viewing yourself correctly? Do you really have an objective view of yourself? A lot of the times we don't. We don't even think that our self-image could be wrong, usually. That's how at least I was before I started really deeply started reading these teachings and studying these teachings. I used to think that I know myself the most. That's what I used to think. Partially true, but actually very not true. What I mean by very not true is that a lot of the times we can only obtain a subjective view of ourselves unless you go through this sort of religious discipline or spiritual training. 2, as the first sentence says, first detach from yourself. Can you do this? Can you detach from yourself? This means that observing your mind as if your mind is like a goldfish and it's in the fish tank. Let's just imagine that your mind is a goldfish, all right? And it's in a fish tank. So when you observe fish in an aquarium, you're looking at it from an outsider's perspective, right? You get to see the shape of the fish, the color of it, how it's swimming, what kind of facial expression it has. So this is an analogy that Master has given us in a way of how to look at ourselves objectively or how to detach from ourselves. Meaning, you have to think that your mind is just a separate being and you put it in front of yourself and imagine that it's like in a clear box and you observe it. That's detaching from yourself. And then look closely at it. You have to really observe keenly. And how you observe it is by using the laws of cause and effect. Certain things occurred in the past, and then there was a story to it, and then it led to a certain cause of effect, and then that reaped some sort of fruits from it. So you look at it from this perspective of laws of cause and effect. And finally, when you do so, you start gaining a new self-image of yourself. And this is what we call the view from your guardian spirit. And this is extremely necessary when connecting to the second part of today's Words of Wisdom, I believe, which is, do you really have an appropriate desire? The word that came to my mind right now is appropriate. Do you have an appropriate desire for yourself? Meaning, if you look at yourself objectively, you'll start knowing how you use your time every day. And let's say that let's say your desire is to become a CEO of a company, but if you look at the way you use your time, do you really deserve it? That's why I said, is it appropriate for you? Do you deserve the desire you wish for? This is an extremely important discipline that I like all of us to continue to do because this is what purifies our minds and this is what connects ourselves to the heavenly world. And one tip of how to do so is just recall your memory of even last night. When you're alone, what do you do? That's who you are. So let us be strict with ourselves, because I know that we're disciples who's watching these videos, or people who are new to Happy Science, but I'm sure if you've come to Happy Science teachings, you have some sort of an ethos of wanting to grow and become a better person. So if you have that kind of a holy desire, a holy ambition, let us be strict and stern with ourselves and continue checking ourselves objectively so that we can make steady progress towards God and Buddha. That will be then for today. Thank you for joining, and see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.